Okay, right, we are going to look at dividing decimals. So we're going to do a few examples of lots of different kinds. So where you have a decimal in, where you don't have a decimal in, or where you're dividing by a decimal, okay? For all of this method, we're going to use the bus stop method, okay? So, question 1, 316.8 divided by 6. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up the bus stop just like we would for any other number, okay? And we're doing how many 6's are in 3? 0, carry the 3. How many 6's are in 31? Well, 5 6's are 30 with 1 left over. 6's into 16, 2 6's are 12 with 4 left over. Now, if you try and keep the decimal point in the same place, that will keep it happy, okay? And then 6 into 48 go 8 times, so the answer is 52.8. Okay, you can check it on your calculator. Obviously, the point is that we're doing it without a calculator to make sure that we understand how to do it, and it could come up in an exam, okay? But I've just checked it there, and happy days, it's 52.8. Okay, right, the next one, it doesn't appear to be like a decimal problem, and also most of you probably can half in your head, okay? Dividing by 2 obviously is the same as halving. Most of you are probably fine at doing it in your head, but let's do it like this to see what's happening, okay? So 2's into 5 go twice, remainder 1. 2's into 17 go 8, remainder 1. 2's into 17 go 8, remainder 1. Now, where does that remainder 1 go? Now, in primary school, of course, you would have written remainder 1. You don't write that anymore. What we're going to do is we're going to add point zeros. Now, you can add as many zeros as you like onto this until you get it to work, okay? So 2's into 17 went 8 times remainder 1, so we're carrying that 1 into that 10. That means we then have to keep the decimal point there, and then we're doing 2's into 10, go 5, okay? Obviously 2's into 0 go 0, so we could add 0, 0, 0, 0 each time. It doesn't change the value of the number, but obviously you don't need to, okay? So the answer here is 288.5. Now the trick there is when the number doesn't go in completely, you need to add 0.000 onto your big number underneath the bus stop, and then work out, keep going until it stops, okay? So similarly, let's go here. So we're doing 5's into 1,781. Now obviously this isn't going to go in properly because it's a whole number, because if a multiple of 5 has to end in a 0 or 5, okay? So we're going to start off again, 1781, 5's into it, okay? 5's into 1 don't go, carry the 1. 5's into 17 go 3 times, remainder 2. 5's into 28 go 5, remainder 3. 5's into 31 go 6, remainder 1. So I'm going to put the point zeros on, and I'm carrying the 1. Keep the decimal point in the answer. 5's into 10 go twice, and so my answer, 356.2. You can keep going, keep adding as many zeros as you need to for as long as you like, okay? Right, now here we get a bit trickier. So here, before we were doing either decimals divided by whole numbers or whole numbers divided by whole numbers where the answer is a decimal, okay? Now we're doing a whole number divided by a decimal. Okay, now I believe that the easiest way to do this is to write it as a fraction, first of all. So we're trying to write, instead of writing 43 divided by 0.1, we're writing 43 over 0.1. Don't forget, this line here means divide. So we've got 43 divided by 0.1. Now this is a fraction, okay? Fractions are much easier to deal with than decimals, but because I put it in a fraction, we don't like having a decimal in it, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the bottom by something to get rid of the decimal point. Okay, now hopefully we can all remember, if you times by 10, that moves the decimal place out 1. So if I times the bottom by 10, the bottom then becomes 1. Okay, 0.1 times 10 is 1. I'm moving the decimal point 1 place. If I've done that to the bottom, I've got to do it to the top, because then it is an equivalent fraction. They are equal. And if I times 43 by 10, I get 430. Now, this sum is equivalent, is equal to this sum. So the same 43 divided by 0.1 is the same as doing 430 divided by 1. And 430 divided by 1, how many 1s are in 430? Is 430. Okay, you can check it in case you don't believe me. 43 divided by 0.1, 430. Okay. Right, let's continue with some of these to see how we're getting on. Okay, question number 5. So here I've got a decimal divided by another decimal. Okay, so whenever you're dividing by decimals, I would like you to write it as a fraction. So 678.2 divided by 0.8. What is horrible? The decimals. Let's deal with the bottom first. How could I get rid of that decimal point? I could times by 10. If I times that by 10, I get 8. And then I've got to do the same to the top. So let's times the top by 10. I get 6,782. Well, that is equivalent to that. So that's happy days, because I can work this out nice and easily. We're going to use a bus stop. So we're doing 8s into 6,782. 8s into 6 don't go, carry the 6. 8s into 67 go 8 times, remainder 3. 8s into 38 go 4 times, remainder 6. 8s into 62 go 7 times. 7 8s are 56. So we've got 6 left over. Okay, so now I'm doing 8s into 60. 8s into 60 go 7 times, remainder 4. 8s into 40 go 5 times. What did I do? Because it didn't go into as a whole number, I had to add my 0.00s. Okay, and I had to keep adding them until I end, but 8s do go into 40, so I don't need to keep going. Okay, so the answer to that is 847.75. Alright, you can check it. 678.2 divided by 0.8 is 847.75. Okay, number 6. Here we go. Again, we're dividing by a decimal, so we want that to be on the bottom of our fraction. So that is 0.02 on the bottom. Okay, I want to get rid of this decimal. What could I multiply that by to get rid of the decimal? I could multiply it by 100, because then I move my decimal place 2 places. Okay, so that becomes 2. I have to do the same to the top. Multiply the top by 100. So it becomes 38,400 divided by 2. You can probably halve that in your head, but if you can't, just do a quick bus stop. 2s into 3 go once, remainder 1. 2s into 18 go 9. 2s into 4 go 2. 2s into 0, 0, 0. And so my answer, 19,200.